Hi, this is the Songbird Reborn and Rebuilt. I want to talk again about drugs and alcohol and responsibility. And do some people actually use that as an excuse to just not do right? For instance, feel free to leave comments also. Well, for instance, um, when I worked at the River Inn Hotel, which is no longer standing, I encountered many people who were living there for free because they refused to pay bills. Okay, me, I had to work there, as I said, because the Homeless Coalition told me that I was smart enough to take care of myself after I was in I was a victim of a house flipping scam. And at that point, I became a survivor when they couldn't help me, and I had to walk the street day and night for 6 months until I was beat up. And I went to the hotel with 3 weeks' pay. And after my money ran out, I begged the owner not to put me out and to let me work there because I was not eligible for any kind of free assistance because, again, the lady said to me, this is only for people who don't know how to survive. So they claim. Personally, I don't believe it. Okay. And this is what I'm saying, unless they're slow or something to that effect. And, at that point, they mostly have somebody that loves them that will help them most of the time. So, back to the issue at hand. Do drugs, having a drug addiction and an alcohol addiction, is that an excuse to be irresponsible? Irresponsible to the point of not paying rent. Irresponsible to the point of not paying the light bill. Irresponsible to the point of, and I'm only speaking on not just my opinion and my judgment, but from a person who is an addict. I would say that it's not real. I have seen people say, okay, back to the hotel. I have so many things I've seen that I'm sorry. Okay, in the hotel while I was working to pay for my room, there were so many people there. So many people that used drugs and alcohol as an excuse why they didn't have a place to live and why they were getting their room paid for. And the more you bring the clean towels and the more you gather the dirty ones and the dirty sheets, and I would bring them to the laundry room and and wash those dirty sheets and those dirty towels and bring them back to the people that needed them. And I didn't judge them and I didn't look at them to judge them. But what I did notice was, and I did listen and hear without asking any questions, while I'm delivering sheets and blankets, I'm hearing complaints from people who are living for free in the hotel about how the government cut their food stamps $40 because they have a free room. I mean, I felt, I couldn't speak on it because I had to keep my job, but I just was really, really disgusted about the whole thing. Here I was working my fingers to the bone because they said I wasn't eligible, and you're complaining that you are going to be missing $40 a month of food stamps. And then there was another woman um, who was saying that because of drugs, she lost her apartment, and that was the reason why. And they were going to take her kids. And she was upset because they were making her do too much drug testing to get her kids back. And as well, they gave her a double so she could have her kids in a couple of weeks, but she never even got them back in there because she had company coming in and out and drinking and smoking. And not that anything's wrong with smoking, but drinking and smoking to the point of no return. And leaving beer bottles and liquor bottles everywhere when I went in there to clean up. But yet and still, you're saying that you got a double room so you can have your kids back. When the lady come and check your room, she can't, she could look and say everything looks good. Okay, she lost her apartment, she didn't pay the rent, but everything looks good and clean in here for the kids. We're gonna bring the kids. And that never didn't happen. And I didn't judge her, and I didn't speak on it because, like I said, I had to do my job, and that was not allowed. I had to be professional, but I did take notes. And then she just used the room for parties every day, and she couldn't understand why they wouldn't give her kids back. So I wouldn't say, in my opinion, it wasn't the drugs and alcohol that caused it. It was choices. People made choices because I was being very responsible, and I had a drink every day after work. Every day I made my way. First of all, I was working for my room. My hands were swollen. I didn't cry about it because I needed somewhere to stay. Because like I said, I was robbed of a house that was sold to me, and then I was robbed of it. So, and I became a survivor, and I wasn't going to cry. And yes, after work, I would, she would pay me my money, and I would give her part of her money right on the spot. I didn't say, well, you know what? How about you just let me keep all of it, and then, when I get my check, I'll pay it. No. If I made $75, I gave the boss $30, and I kept $45. If I had a drink and dinner for the night, because of course you're in a hotel and you need to think responsible, not buy a lot of food where it's gonna spoil. So whatever I needed for dinner, I'd buy it, and some Kool-Aid to get thirsty after you drink. I mean, you gotta be responsible and you gotta stay healthy. And I was gonna make sure I had some veggies there. Everybody has choices, and I don't care who hears this that doesn't like it. Hope you find something good out of it. Because, and then, sometimes at the meetings it's good, like I said, but all that, you're powerless. I think they need to stop saying that, because then I know some people that are, like I said, back to that, they're not paying rent. They're staying in the hotel for free. There were people coming there from the 1st of the month to the 3rd of the month and smoke and drink all their money or sniff it, whatever, shoot it, whatever their way to do it choice was. And then and the 4th or the 5th of the month, they would have to leave the hotel and go back to the shelter, and they were so there's no need to say, oh, it's because of drugs and alcohol, when it's really just having a choice. Now, I can't say that it would take years and years of being homeless as a choice, because, well, I don't know, maybe it's because for me it was a foreclosure, and that took when they did the land flipping scam on me, it took my credit down to 0 from 800 and something down to 0. So it took me 2 years to get an apartment. I stayed in that hotel 2 years, and I worked from my room. I worked, and whether my fingers hurt or whatever was hurting my legs, it didn't matter. It was what I needed to do to have somewhere to sleep, because I wasn't sleeping outside, and I had already walked for 6 months up and down the street. I couldn't sit down, I couldn't lay down, and there would be no way, and that wasn't even my fault, and there would be no way that I would purposely do it. I don't care if I was drinking and doing drugs. I wouldn't care what I was doing. That's not going to get me there. And if I even felt like it was partway getting me, if you pay, sometimes you can sober and go shopping and spend way too much money, because I've been off and on, so I know, and still spend too much money and be very irresponsible. But that's a whole different subject. You pay $250 for a pair of shoes, and when you only have $800 a month, then how are you going to pay the rent when the rent is $700? So that's a whole different irresponsible subject that I'm not getting into right now. That's a whole nother show. But today it's about People, I got really sick of it as a person who was an addict to see people blame everything that they do wrong on drugs and alcohol instead of telling the truth that their personality is that, period. Stop pretending like, oh, when I'm sober, I would never do this. No, because whatever you're doing when you're high, you wanted to do it when you were sober. And, I don't care who doesn't like this. I know that it's real. Okay. And like I said, even the homeless coalition said to me, according to your records, we can't help you because you know how to sustain under all conditions. My record of whatever they've been, not just them, but I'm out, but I just don't know how to put it into words that basically we're all just a number anyway, and they already know what everybody's life was. It's all written down from first grade and before that, from birth, where you've been and what you've been doing, what kind of personality you are, and I just want to say, stop lying and saying, oh, I didn't pay my rent because, well, I was on drugs. No. So you could have paid your rent first. And I don't care if you're sick. I don't care if your stomach hurts. I don't care if your head hurts, your bones hurt, you're having an attitude problem. Who cares? On the way to pay the rent. Just do it and stop lying and saying, oh, it's because of drugs. It was because I was drinking. No, it was because you didn't want to suffer long enough to go and do it. Just get it done. Go to the grocery store. Okay? Whatever. Just do it. Stop listening to the, oh, I'm powerless and there was nothing I could. Go do what you have to do. I've been to so many meetings when and I stopped. And they didn't want me around anyway.